You've probably heard her on the radio and seen her on TV. She's the person that you want to go to when you're planning a trip. Today on the Hall podcast, we have Claire Newell from Travel Best Bets. Welcome to the Hall.
Thanks so much, Mark. I'm looking forward to this.
Yeah, awesome. So for people that don't know who you are, which it's kind of a funny story. We had a union meeting the other day and my boss came over to me and said, you know who you should get on the show? That travel lady from the radio. Actually, I've already been speaking to her. So for people that don't know, what is Travel Best Bets?
Well, first of all, Are You the Travel Lady? All the time. And I think it's because I've grown up on TV here in BC. I've been on TV for almost 34 years, which just seems like forever. So people feel like they know me just by hearing my voice or seeing me in the grocery store. But let me tell you a little bit more about kind of who I am. I'm a wife. Great. I'm a mother of two kids that are 24 and 26 now. I am obviously a daughter, a sister. I'm a friend, a business owner, because I actually own the business behind Travel Best Bet. So what I do on TV is about 5% of what I do for the rest of the business. I am an animal lover, especially of my 8.5-pound Chihuahua who travels a lot. And I think it goes without saying that I'm an absolute travel lover.
How did you get into this? Like what was the start to being a travel expert?
Well, it all started pretty much just after I graduated from UBC. I have a degree in English and geography, both of which I use almost every day. I mean, I'm writing travel stories with my English background and geography. Well, that just kind of goes with the world. But I had originally planned to go to law school, and we were actually on a family vacation between my fourth year of university and starting law school. It was my parents and us three kids, and I got to know the daughter of a guy who actually was the managing director, which basically means like the president and CEO of a large travel organization in the UK. They were on board that cruise and they invited me to go and work in London for a few months between finishing my fourth year and starting law school. Got the travel bug and I never looked back. I sold it to my parents, who are very pro education. My dad was a surgeon. My mom had a teaching background. I can always defer. I can always go back. And I'm really glad I kind of tried and did what I did because I love it every day.
How did it go from being a travel agent to being somebody that was actually on the TV and radio every day?
Yeah, so that was an odd thing because just after I started the business, so this is right after I got back from London and I was looking more like hotel wholesaling. So it really morphed into more becoming a travel advisor. And I was helping my parents' friends. I mean, they had the time and the money. Many of them were doctors like my dad, and they would go. So I often was asked, well, can you get the best deal? And I know that there's this guy on TV, on BC TV, and can you hit that deal? And I always came, of course I can. Like, that's my thing. Of course I can. And I got back to people really, really quickly. And I did my research. And I'm not saying I knew very much at that, but I was really keen to work hard and make sure that I could land the deal. It was kind of fun for me to kind of find that deal so that people could go on their vacations. But very quickly, I realized, what's this, other guy, a reporter, maybe I could do something. So there was a company called UTV at the time. It's now Breakfast Television. And way back then I put in a proposal and sure enough, they asked me to just come on. I had actually said, I'll feed the information to a reporter and they can go on. And the guy I presented it to said, how about you do it? And that was literally 6 months after starting the business, not even. And then they invited me back. And then again and again, it became weekly. And then BCTV, which is now global, about 6 months later, asked me to come over and just offset the travel person that they had's age and gender. So that's kind of how it all started. Just kind of took a leap of faith.
How was that first episode? Like we kind of joked about before we started here about how my intros are the hardest and all that. How was your first episode?
I was terrified for the first 10 years. So it was, it's really scary. And I think, I mean, I'm always a little bit nervous when the red light goes on. I think you're only human. But I sometimes say to my husband when because I'm on a national show as well, the morning show, which is on right after Global's morning news or right across the
Mm.
station. It's with Jeff MacArthur and Carolyn McKenzie. And I sometimes say to him, because I have to get up once a week at 4:30 in the morning. I'm like, how about you do it one morning for me? And he goes, I wouldn't sleep the night before. It would take all of me to do it, all the planning and everything. Whereas I just literally get out of bed, pop my makeup on, brush my hair, and just do it. I don't even think about it. So I don't really get the pit in my stomach anymore. And I think part of it was after I felt like I knew my stuff. I was going to say a different word, but it helped shortly after my son, who was my youngest, was born. I wrote my first book. And so that came out in 2008. And for about a decade after that, I actually, after doing a book tour across the country, there was a producer from the Today Show, which is, as you know, a big US show, that saw me on a Toronto station. And for 10 years, I was flying back and forth between Vancouver and New York and doing guest appearances as the travel expert on the Today Show. And even though I had been on Global for so long, I felt like, oh boy, like they're asking a Canadian gal
Hmm.
to come and do this. Like I must know my stuff. So I feel like I do. And every single morning I read what are called travel wires. And this is part of the process. While running a business and owning the travel huge travel agency behind it is one thing. It's knowing my stuff that is more important than anything. Looking at the underside of the travel industry and understanding why and what is happening around the world, because all of it affects us as consumers and where we go and our choices and whether it's safe and whether it's not. And every morning, like I said, I get up and probably the first hour and a half of my day is just reading travel news headlines from around the world.
Okay, let's get into that a little bit more. Without going into politics so much, we're a union here, and we've got about 5,000 members, and some of them will be traveling. Where are places that you would say to our members, yeah, maybe stay away from that place? Or
Yeah,
here's a good place that you should go to. What are some of those tips that you can give us?
I mean, it's that's a
Yeah.
long and kind of convoluted question, but I think what I would do is get into it. First of all, out of anything that anyone gets from watching this podcast today, is there's a website that no matter where you're going, that you need to look at before you hand over your credit card. And that's travel.gc.ca. It gives you the insight into any advisories that are happening in the world, and things change on a dime. Like literally, there could be natural disaster, political unrest. There's so many factors, but they also will show you the entry and exit requirements, any health requirements. It is so simple. You can also register your trip. And again, this is the one thing I hope you get out of this if you're tuning in, and that's travel.gc.ca also has a place where you can register your trips. And if you're leaving Canada for any reason, going anywhere in the world, I don't care if it's literally just down south to the US, anywhere, you need to go to the website and register your trip. It takes about 3 minutes. You put in your first name, the last name, your passport number, the dates you're traveling, where you're going, and a contact. And that way the Canadian government can come. And a prime example, earlier this week, like over the past weekend and this week, we just saw all of the Canadian tour operators and airlines stop flights to Cuba. Well, since I got into the industry, Cuba has been a prime vacation destination. Like it's a
Hmm.
beach destination Canadians absolutely love. And the sad part is that the Cuban people really rely on the tourism, but there's an aviation fuel shortage. And NOTAM was sent out, which is the notice to air emission, that basically said that no commercial airlines should be flying there at least up until March the 11th and possibly later. So the Canadian airlines stopped going because it's not potentially safe, or it could be a logistical nightmare because they won't be able to have the fuel to get home. They'd have to make other stops and things. This was unexpected, but given the US pressure on Venezuela of sending crude and refined oil, that's what happened. And it upended a huge number of people who were booked with Air Canada Vacations, WestJet Vacations, Sunwing, uh, and Transat. And now they have to find trips really, really fast for a lot of them for spring break. And there's very little space. And things change. I mean, obviously with what we're seeing to the US, there's still that whole elbows up mentality, and that is for the foreseeable future. And the airlines are actually changing their routes because of this. WestJet just this week announced a 32% cut in capacity to the US this summer, year over year. And that's a huge, there's 15 nonstop flights from Canada, 5 are from Vancouver alone, that are now cut. And because of that, if you need to go, say for work, or you have a place down there, or you have family down there, you will be noticing that it is super expensive to fly to the US. I'm talking in some cases double, even triple. A place that you used to be able to go with a nonstop or, several options a day to be able to fly there. Now there may not be any, maybe there's only one, or maybe you have to have a connecting flight. So things are really changing, but it's currency that affects things. Like right now, everybody wants to go to Japan because the Canadian dollar goes so far, the yen is so weak. And that's a great thing to look at as well. There's just, again, so many factors that come into play as to how and where you should be going. I'm really grateful that before the Russian and Ukrainian war, I was able to go into St. Petersburg. Well, now I wouldn't even dream of going to Russia. And there are always places that come up that are new and unique and less traveled. And those are the places that I think are really fun to go. Your dollar goes a little further and the crowds aren't there. Places now like Albania or the Azores, which are part of Portugal, are places that are now becoming more popular.
So your industry has obviously changed a lot since the internet. So less people are probably going to travel agents and booking on their own. They're not getting this kind of information that like you're giving me right now. So
well, actually, that's so interesting that you say that, but we're seeing the opposite. We're seeing especially millennials who, in the last report that we were looking at, 83% of millennials and younger want to have their travel handled for them. They want it worry free. They don't want to worry about the logistics. They see the value. It's actually this odd age that are like my age, kind of mid 50s, that the internet came out when we were younger, and people felt like they could do it themselves. And that's all flipped. You have boomers who are absolutely having agents work on their trips for them. And now you have millennials and Gen Z that are having agents do it. The group in the middle is starting to realize it's way better to have somebody handle the logistics for them, that will give them the guidance that they need. And time is money. And travel professionals can save you so much. If you've ever been down the rabbit hole of trying to book your own travel, and when it's a complex itinerary where you've got airfare, accommodation, maybe you've got transfers or a car rental, or you've got a tour or a cruise attached to it all, it takes time. And the average person, I was so shocked by this, goes to 60 different websites, whether they're looking at reviews, their airlines, or whatever types of components. It's a rabbit hole, and it can be kind of overwhelming. So to go to somebody who actually knows, who can say, even if they haven't planned it themselves, if there's a network large enough, that network would have advice that is shared with hotels that people recommend. There's nothing that can, like, whether it's doing the search online yourself with the internet, or even AI, that can replace a good travel advisor and travel advisor network.
So are you guys getting better deals than we would as well? So if I go and look at a flight and it's, say, X amount of dollars, are you seeing that same flight, or are you guys able to get a better deal so that, you know what I'm saying? So if I go to you, I'm not paying a whole lot more, or like, how does that all work? Is it quite a bit more expensive to go with an advisor?
Absolutely not. In fact, what you see an advisor at worst would get And so at best, they're going to be able to get better
Mm.
rates for you. And that could be with air travel. We have access to what we call consolidators that do contracted air, especially for big overseas trips. The savings are significant. Cruising, if you're looking for a cruise, like a 7-night Alaska or something, that's an easy getaway for people who live in BC. The reality is that you're looking at prevailing rates in the marketplace where a large company like say Travel Best Bets or another large network, they will be buying or securing space on deployment. So deployment comes into the marketplace 2 years before the
Mm.
stuff starts to sell. So we have 2027 and 28 space held at the lowest rate possible. And I was just looking at a cruise that kind of popped into my head, and I'm like, oh, this is so good. We need to share this with people, which is my favorite thing to do, is when you find that gem
Hmm.
and people can
Yeah.
take advantage of it. It's a 7-night Mediterranean cruise, and I love the itinerary. It's going out of Greece, and it's doing the Greek Isles and then Turkey, and it's got an overnight in Istanbul. I just like it's a really cool itinerary. And for May of 27, it's 689 plus tax, and I'm like, that's such a good deal. Okay, love it. And then we looked at the date right after, and it's also round trip Athens, but it's doing Cyprus and Egypt, like with like 2 days in Alexandria, so you could go and see the pyramids. Like that to me, 14 night, and it's probably going to be. We're not quite sure where it's going to sit, but around the $1,600 mark for a 1400. Those are the type of things that like I love. So yeah, you could do the 7-night, but for those who are looking for something a little different, and the prevailing rate for that same cruise, that's 689 right now, is double the price.
Hmm.
So we've got this price locked in. So yeah, that's a loaded question, but we have access to companies where we can get everything organized for people on a trip to Europe, with everything from ferries and rail passes and foodie tour in a place you want to go, not just the flight and the hotel, all organized on one simple itinerary at a better rate, but also to ensure that you've got 24/7 support from somebody on that trip to Europe. So like you'll be not, it's not a tour, but you would have a number that you could call if you ran into issues with your trip. Because unfortunately, travel is inherently a bit bumpy. Things
Hmm.
get delayed, reservations get lost, all of that type of thing. So having that is really important.
Hmm. Okay, so we have members that are flying, doing shifts in different areas. Um, what are some of the tips that you'd give them for, say, faster recovery? So less jet lag or less fatigue after flying. What are ways that they can, recover better or fly smarter
Yeah.
to feel refreshed when they get home?
Yeah, if at all possible, obviously a nonstop flight is the best. And if you're going into different time zones, fighting jet lag with the appropriate measures. So whether you're going to the destination or coming home, set your watch as soon as you get on the aircraft before you actually take off, and start to eat, sleep on the destination time. Again, whether you're going to the destination or you're coming home,
Yeah.
as soon as you can, get natural daylight, because that helps with your circadian rhythm. Drink lots of water, get some exercise when you can, and don't give in to the desire to sleep too early. Like so many people, no matter which way they're coming or going, as soon as they land and they start to get tired, it could be like 2 or 4 in the afternoon. Don't do it. Like don't have a cup of coffee. At worst, you should have a cat nap, no longer than 20 minutes, just to push you through. But if you can avoid that, even better. But at least stay up to 8. If you can 9, do that,
Hmm.
and that will help you. The other thing is, I often see people try and get back like really late at night the day before they have to, get back to
Yeah.
the routine. And I give myself at least a day. My favorite is to go like a Saturday to a Saturday. If I'm working Monday to Friday, say, so that I get home kind of late on a Saturday and have Sunday to recover. do my grocery shopping, do the laundry, get back into the routine, and then start work. So whatever you do, whatever your schedule is, try and get back and give yourself a day's grace.
Yeah, that's my wife. My wife will want to stretch it out as far as she can stretch it. We'll come back super late the night before I have to work, and I'm the type of person that wants to come back, have some time to breathe, get settled back in, and then go back to work.
You're my guy. I totally agree.
I think we kind of touched on this, like stretching our travel dollars. Like, obviously, go with an advisor is what we've kind of learned there. I'm just kind of going through some notes here that I've made before.
And I'm not a one to tell people I love the internet. I love sitting in my pajamas and doing my searches late at night or early in the morning, and with a cup of coffee. And I'm not saying people have to use an advisor. If you can find a trusted advisor that gets you, I think that is the best possible thing. They'll look for what it is they know you like. They get to know you. They can present something to you if they know what's on your bucket list. And that's one thing that I would also encourage people that are taking in this podcast. This is one other little nugget. Have a bucket list. Put 5 places on there, and don't feel like you have to check them off in order. I think it's a bad way to go. If you have an advisor that knows what your bucket list look like and these 5 places you really want to hit off in the next, I don't know, 10, 15, 20 years, they can come to you and say, we've got an unreal deal to get you there. And it could be out of order. And things change in the world. And we talked about that earlier. It may not be safe to go to a certain place, or there might have been a hurricane. It's just not the right time. There might be political unrest. The currency might be really strong against our Canadian dollar. So an advisor can come to you. So do your own research. Use points if you've got it to help your travel dollar go a little further, wherever you can. I mean, I do it myself. I get scrappy with trying to get the best deal for myself. And then always have an advisor review it and see what they can put together for you.
Can an advisor use your points to book an airline flight, or no?
I wish that they don't.
Okay.
Your points are yours specifically. An advisor could help you look at the flight schedule, but the reality is that once you get into the platform to use your points, that flight might not even be available. So it's best flights is one of the biggest things that you should do before putting all of the other components together, unless there's a World Cup game you want to go to, or you want to take in the Olympics or something. If there's that special event, that should be booked first. And then the next thing that you should be doing would be your flights.
Yeah. World Cup. I think there's going to be a lot of people actually trying to get out of the city when the World Cup comes, right? Trying to get away and take advantage of that. I think I would. Okay. A couple of rapid fire questions here before we finish off. Window seat or aisle seat? What do you prefer?
Aisle seat close to the front.
Okay. One travel myth you'd like to bust?
I think because I've seen a lot of people get caught on this lately is the myth that a valid passport is all you need as a Canadian to travel. It's not. For so many places around the world, you need more than a valid passport. You may need 3, 6, or even 8 months validity beyond the date you depart the country you're visiting. So always double check that. You might need an ETA, like an electronic travel authorization. You already need this to go to places like the UK. And very soon, they say in Q4 of this year, 2026, you may need one to go to Europe. So if you're going to the UK and mainland Europe, the Shenzhen area, you're going to need 2. So look into that before you leave. Your passport isn't always enough.
One destination everybody needs to visit.
If you have the time and the money to do it, somewhere in Africa to be able to see the Big 5. Still one of the most special things I've ever done.
Yeah, I've done that.
Do you agree?
Oh, I loved it. It wasn't the animals, it was the people. The people of Africa are amazing. Just absolutely amazing people.
Agreed.
Recline or not recline?
If you're paying for your seat, I think if the seats aren't in a fixed, non-reclining aircraft, then recline, but never during meal service or just beverage service. And always be respectful when you do it. Just do a quick glance over your shoulder and slowly go back rather than pushing the button and boom,
Mhm.
leaning back. So I'm a recline if the aircraft has the ability.
And then one last one here. One travel habit everybody should obey.
Do
Kind
your
of a hard one.
research before you go. And by research, I mean, if you're going even to Mexico and you're going over Easter, this is a Catholic and Christian country and everything's shut down. Like you may not be able to do what you want on certain days. Learn a little bit of the language, just a please, thank you, yes, no. You can butcher the language, but at least try. You'll be, people really appreciate that. And find out if like something that's on your bucket list now has an entrance fee, or do you need a QR code? Because places that were free around the world are not anymore. Even throwing, for example, the coin over your shoulder at Trevi Fountain in
Mhm.
Rome. It's now €2 to do that during daylight hours. So
Hmm.
please do your research. Research.
Yeah, my brother and I ran into an issue with that when we went to the Sistine Chapel and the St. Peter's Basilica. Is that? No, I can't remember
Yes.
how to pronounce it.
Yeah.
We were wearing shorts. It was warm. We weren't allowed in. So
No
make sure you know
question.
the dress codes for the countries that you're going to, right? Yeah.
Yeah, it's research. And again, I can't stress this enough. As we probably are ending soon, travel.gc.ca
Thank you.
has those entry and exit requirements, but the health information, but it also has the customs and laws. And so even just starting there for your research, that's why I keep stressing this. You can put in the country you're interested in going to and all of that information. It's a free resource and it's from a Canadian's perspective. The government stays up to the minute on it because I know that ETAs, like electronic travel authorizations, will come and go, even just with a moment's notice. I was going to India, and the week before I left for India, the requirement changed and I needed an ETA. And so I was really grateful that I looked a week before I left, because had I not known, I would have been denied boarding.
Hmm. Good point. Where can we find you? If we were to need
The
a travel
website,
advisor or just to
yeah.
follow some of your tips?
The best is you can email the company at info at travelbestbets.com. The website is a really great resource to get people inspired on where to go. You can just even type in a country and it'll pop up for you, or really anything. So travelbestbets.com. It doesn't have to be Travel Best Bets. I just encourage you to find the right advisor who gets you.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you, Claire. In closing, just wanted to let members know we're still running a contest, a hat and a coffee mug from Milwaukee. Down in the comments, just put hashtag your favorite destination that you'd like to go, maybe your bucket list item. Okay, thank you, Claire. And
Thanks so much for having me, Mark. I
thank you.
really appreciate it. It was fun.
It was a pleasure. Thank you.